I can navigate my environment. I can walk outside and get the mail, I could go fix myself breakfast. And I don't think I could have done that 5 years ago. I think I started wearing glasses when I was 9 years old, started wearing contacts when I was 12. I'm 38 now. I guess I found this whole thing 2018, and I was wearing contacts pretty much like first thing in the morning to last thing at night. My right eye was negative 5.75 and my left eye was negative 6.0. I feel like the first couple years after that, after starting, was pretty straightforward, and I had gotten down to wearing negative 3.0 both eyes. But I've had to take a step back just because having a kid threw things off. And honestly, while I was pregnant, I had no energy and probably spent too much time sitting on the couch scrolling on my phone. So I had to suck it up at a certain point and realize that I was just a little too adjusted to things being blurry. And so now I'm back at wearing 3.5 in each eye.
So about half of where you started?
Yeah, about. So I still am really pleased with that. And I feel like since I've taken a step back, I can definitely see progress again. So it's been a really interesting process. I still wear contacts most of the time, partly because my kid rips glasses off my face, so it's not very practical. But also, I really can't stand not having the peripheral vision.
How did you end up with glasses at 9? That's early, right?
Honestly, partly I really wanted them. I was a weird kid. I think I wanted anything that made me different. I think it was a combination that the first time there was an ophthalmologist or optometrist that recommended them, they were kind of like, yeah, you're right on the borderline of whether you need them or not. And then I was like, yes, let's go for it. And which was a terrible life choice, but I think also somewhere around that age, I got a Game Boy and started playing video games close up for hours on end. I think that's probably what made it happen. Yeah, I wear them some of the time, and then of course needed them all the time, and then eventually ended up hating them and went to contacts. But
Active focus, was that easy to find, difficult to find? How did that work for you?
I didn't. I'm kind of a person who doesn't like to overthink things, so I didn't find it that difficult, but I also didn't try to obsess over it. I think sometimes the harder I think about it, the harder it is. I do notice that when I'm doing something that I would say is more dynamic rather than static, I think it's easier. For example, I started going disc golfing with my husband a few years ago, and when I'm watching a disc fly through the air and watching where it goes through the woods, then I think that's a lot more of the right stimulation for my eyes to focus on it versus if I'm just staring at something that's, 200 feet away and not moving, if that makes sense.
Because you have to see it, right?
Right.
That's why I call it active focus. It's the process of actively seeing a thing, right? It's like driving or anything where it's not really optional.
Yeah, driving for sure.
Wear the right glasses when driving, everybody.
If I can't incorporate it into my life and make it easy, it's not going to happen. So that's kind of where I do the active focus and how I find it. Just limited.
And that's kind of the background of the whole Endmyopia premise, right? Trying to make it easy. So even though a -3 is still you still need corrective lenses, your experience is a lot better than -6.
And I can function without them too. Because when I was at -6, I literally would get out of bed and the first thing I would do would be roll over to the bathroom, put in my contacts because I felt like I couldn't even walk through my house. And now it's just not a big deal. I'll wake up, I'll play with my kid for a little bit, and then I'm like, oh, I guess I should go put on my contacts or something. But it's not, I can navigate my environment. I can walk outside and get the mail, I could go fix myself breakfast. And I don't think I could have done that 5 years ago. I would have been like in those cartoons where they're feeling around, what is this, So it feels a lot different.
Kind of surreal because I forget as we're talking, I remember this and it feels like it wasn't real. I remember with a -4 point somethings, I'd have to remember where I put them because if I didn't, I would never find those freaking things again.
It's kind of comical / sad.
Kind of. Because there was definitely some incidences where whatever was going on, if I misplaced them, good luck, right? You need glasses to find your glasses.
The full episode of the Shortsighted podcast and lots more episodes are available in the Back to 2020 member section, along with hundreds of pro topic videos I made over the years, lots of guides, access to a community forum with over 90,000 monthly member visits, and tons more resources in Back to 2020.